Flash has some very powerful drawing capabilities, and yet it's similar to other drawing programs, so it's easy to learn. I'm going to go ahead and use some of these simple drawing tools as well as some more complex ones. But before I begin, I'm going to be mindful of what layer I'm on. So in the timeline, I have layer 1 selected, and I want to draw a rectangle. So I'm going to rename this to, say, rectangle. Now I can get down to selecting my rectangle tool. And then I'm going to go ahead and define the stroke color. We'll pick white. And then the fill color, which is going to be red. Then what I need to do is I need to just make sure this object drawing is turned on. So I'm just going to click on object drawing. Notice how it looks sort of depressed. Now I can go ahead and draw with the rectangle tool. There it is. And if I select my selection tool and sort of click off of the graphic, you can see that it does have that white stroke. And again, I can select that graphic with the selection tool and move it around. Quite frankly, this isn't really what I want. I need to, first of all, make sure it stretches across the screen. So what I can do is I can use the free transform tool. That way I can stretch it sort of further across the screen and kind of scrunch it up just by modifying these control points. Another way to modify anything that you have selected is using the Properties panel. So over here in the Properties panel, I'm going to change its X position to 0. Just like that. And I want to extend the width of this document, which happens to be 1,000 pixels. Just like that. And my height is going to be about 100 pixels, so I can type that in. So if you want specific control, use your Properties panel. Notice also over in here I can change the fill-in stroke, change the stroke color to nothing, so it doesn't have a stroke now. And I can change the fill color to black. All right, that's more appropriate, and that's exactly what I want. That set up, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the other drawing tools. Each time you create something in Flash, you should always put it on a new layer because that's going to give you more control with that item. So I'm going to click this new layer icon, and I'm going to go ahead and draw a button shape right now. And I'm going to go beyond the rectangle tool into the rectangle primitive tool. And in my Properties panel down here, I'll select a fill color. And notice that you can actually sample any color as well. So I'll just sample this green background color. All right, my next step is to, before I even begin drawing, I can adjust the properties for this shape. And I'm going to go ahead and look down here in rectangle options because I have the opportunity to curve the corners. So I can change that to 10. That will change the radius of the corners to 10. Just hit enter for all the corners. And now I can go ahead and draw a button shape, kind of like that. Looks great. And with it still selected, I can always come in here and modify that further. Say, for instance, I could even unlock it, and maybe I don't want to curve one corner and maybe another corner. I can change it to that shape. So that's looking pretty good. Again, that's a unique item to Flash, a really great way to make buttons. But this button really needs a label, so I'm going to select the text tool, select a color, white, and then I'm going to go ahead and look at my properties. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is change this from TLF text to classic text. TLF text stands for Text Layout Framework. So if you're dealing with a lot of text, you probably want to select that. Otherwise, if it's something simple like a label, you can use classic text. I'm going to make sure that this is static text as well. And I can go ahead and define the font. So I'm going to use Arial. And it's going to be bold. And let's give it a size of about 14 point. And again, let's make sure it's white. And what I can do is just click and then type in replay. Just like that. Use my selection tool to kind of position that right in there. And I can always use my arrow keys on the keyboard to adjust it as well. All right, so that's text. Now I want to go beyond, again, this button and create a new layer. Actually change the layer name to text because I'm going to have a larger statement I want to appear right here. I'm going to select the text tool. Notice how it defaults to my last settings, so that looks pretty good. But in fact, I want to up this to about 28 points. And then I want to type in here on my stage sustainable design. With it still selected, I can always change its various properties. So I'm going to change the font to regular, and what I can do is anytime you see something with an underline, you can actually do a click and drag to adjust its size. So that's looking more appropriate. That's the size I want for this text. And yeah, I'd say it looks pretty good. So I'm going to use the selection tool and just kind of position it. Now let's get into one of the more advanced tools in Flash Professional CS5. And I'm going to do this by creating a new layer. And what I'm going to draw are some trees. So I'm going to rename this layer to trees. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the stage size to fit in window, just so I can see everything from edge to edge. All right, with this layer selected, I'm going to go down here. Halfway down, you'll notice this pencil with these dots. And this is the Deco tool, a procedural drawing tool. And I'll show you what this looks like. If you select it, go to the Properties panel and determine what you want to draw. So under Drawing Effect, I get plenty of different options. Okay, so I can draw with buildings, with fire, with flames, flowers, and I want to go ahead and select the tree brush. And now I get to customize it even further. If I open up this drop-down, you can see all the different trees I could even draw. Quite a few in here, but I will just go ahead and keep this as the aspen tree. I can even further define the leaf color and then the flower color as well. But I think that looks pretty good. Maybe I'll go a little brighter or something with the leaves if I want to, something kind of like that. But let me go ahead and draw. If I just do a click and drag, you can see how it generates that tree. Very nice. I was able to quickly draw a tree. Let's kind of do this corner as well. I'm going to go ahead and change this drawing effect to the flower brush. And under Advanced Options, I'm going to select Poinsettia. And again, I encourage you to play with all of these different drawing effects, whether it's the flower size or the leaf size or the color, but you can notice that you'll get some nice little results as well. I'm going to go ahead and bring this flower size down and then the leaf size down some more, and then I can kind of sprinkle those kind of around my tree. So that looks pretty good. Again, it's a procedural drawing tool. Very cool, very easy to use, and really can jazz up sort of any project that you're working on. Creating graphics in Flash is easy. It ranges from simple to more complex, but I just encourage you to play with the various drawing tools and capabilities that are available in Flash.